Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. This is the Imperfect Ashlers Masonic Podcast. All the views and opinions stated on this show are strictly those of the host and their guests and do not reflect the opinions of any Masonic Lodge or Grand Lodge. What's up, y'all? We are the Imperfect Ashlers back again for episode number 7. I am Brother Zach, and beside me I got Brother Ben. What you had going on lately, Brother Ben, in the lodge world?
It seems like a lot of degree work's been going on.
Nothing
Thursday,
wrong with that.
always a good thing to see people go through the degrees. Thursday night at Benham Jacobs, we had the Entered Apprentice Lodge, and then Monday night we had a Fellowcraft Lodge, and got to see guy go through the degree on
That was down
Fellowcraft.
at your other
Coosa Valley. And then today at Birmingham Metro, the chapter and council conferred the degrees on 18 guys.
Oh, very nice.
Oh yeah. So and all the degree work went off really good without a hitch, and it was really good to be around the brethren today.
Yeah, I love that York right work. That's
awesome.
That blew my mind.
Yeah.
And that's always good to hear new guys coming in. And I forgot to mention, we are doing video today. I've got my GoPro here. We're gonna try to see what it looks like. Maybe put some video up on YouTube and see what happens with that. We may try to get it.
We may run more people off, right?
Yeah, that's a very good point. We've been trying to get it right. I know I look fat and he looks super skinny, so y'all just ignore that.
I'm super short. You look really big over there.
Well, you've got the beard too, so there's that. But anyway, today I thought about, and I've thought about it a lot. You know, a lot of what got me into Masonry was kind of the conspiracy theories. That's what
the mystery.
Yeah, what drew me in, hearing about all this stuff, this treasure that's supposed to be hidden from the Knights Templar, and So I wanted to try to talk about some conspiracy theories and maybe set some of that straight. As bad as I don't want to do that, I want to set them straight.
You've been waiting to do this episode for a while, I know.
Oh yeah, a long time coming.
This has been on, and we've kind of touched on this topic on some of the episodes we talked. Here and there, we touched on this topic, but we really haven't just taken a whole segment or episode into it. So let's talk about it. What you got?
Yeah. And that's what like I said, I want to dispel a lot of it. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there, social media and stuff like that, think we worship Satan or sacrifice children or goats or whatever. I don't know what all the rumors are. The main 3 things I looked up, the 3 categories. You've got political, religious, and cultural. So political, obviously,
that pretty much covers it all, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Political, you've got the whole New World Order and the Masons run the government and all that kind of stuff. And there for a long time, there were a lot of politicians that were Masons. There still are, I'm sure. We've got a few in our lodge that are politicians, and that
it seems like a lot of the politicians maybe gravitated away, or
there's a feeling,
or if they are, they're more on the just more private with it.
It very well could be. Yeah, I do agree. You don't see them very much in the lodge, and whether that's just from somebody getting mad at somebody or what, I don't know. But it's definitely, with that shepherding program we talked about, maybe we can get them to come back. I mean,
who knows? That's always a possibility.
If they take their tenants seriously, I'd vote for them.
Absolutely.
But that's and I've got some notes here that I put down under the political part of it. The U.S., in my opinion, was kind of founded on Masonic principles: freedom of religion, freedom of speech. You're not going to look down on somebody for who they are, what they are. You have just as much right to whatever you want to do that I do.
And I think a lot of the parts of our Constitution in Masonry and the actual Constitution of the United States line up and are very similar.
I could agree with that. And that's it.
Does that come from the forefathers being Masons?
Yeah.
So that
there
to begin with.
Yeah. And I'm trying to find it in my notes here. Where did I put it? Okay. Speaking of historical figures, I made a little list. So, and of course, there's many more than these, but of course, George Washington, and there were actually 13 other U.S. presidents. I didn't know that. I thought it was fewer than that. 13 other presidents were Masons. Um, 9 out of the 55 signers of the
That's
Declaration,
those 13
which
steps on the dollar bill, right?
I guess so. That's the 13 original colonies,
13 stars
Yeah.
with that all seeing eye up there.
Which that declaration, I thought it was more than that. Is they said it was 9 out of 55, and I don't remember where I looked for this information, but
That's
13 signers of the Constitution,
hey,
which
9. That's a good lodge, right?
yeah. um, and then going on to some others, you got Beethoven, the composer, musician, Buzz Aldrin, astronaut, Henry Ford of Ford Motor Company, Cy Young, that was a baseball player. I didn't know that one. John Wayne, of course. If you don't know the Duke, then you can go on somewhere. And Mark Twain, the author.
One of my favorite.
Mark Twain,
Yeah, I love some
I
Mark
love,
Twain.
yes, sir. And one that I've always thought was cool, Houdini.
Houdini.
Yeah, illusionist extraordinaire. But that was just
Maybe that's whose eye that is on
very well
that
could
floating
be.
eyeballs.
Yeah. But that was just a little cool tidbit of information that I found. Um, the other thing that I'd put in my notes about it is that whole new world order. Like we're trying to take over the world and we want to run everything, which I think it would be a better place if we did, honestly, but we're not,
But
that
yeah, like
like
friendship, morality, and brotherly love would not hurt
exactly
this world at
not
all.
at all. But and that goes back to people think that we're all under that one world Grand Lodge or something like that. And a lot of people don't know that like Alabama has its own Grand Lodge, Japan has its own Grand Lodge, England has the Grand Lodge of England. Now, going back in history, we all do kind of conform under the Grand Lodge of England, but we're not,
Bound.
yeah, we're not bound to them. Not,
We're self-governing
yeah, there you go. That's kind of what I was looking for. It's not a,
or autonomous.
yeah, I like the big words. Um, but yeah, I mean, we are our own, our Grand Lodge is its own entity by itself. We govern ourselves. Our work is different from Tennessee work. Brother Shane from
Georgia.
yeah, I can't remember the city, but it's Flint Hill Lodge in Georgia that has been attending with us. He told me the other night in that EA degree that the work was completely different. And
And that's what I get from one of our members at Coosa Valley. He's a plural member with both a lodge in Georgia and in Alabama, and the work is completely different.
right,
And he
and
was talking
that's
about the arrangement of the furniture was different. I found out. I
yeah,
was like, wow.
yeah. And Tennessee's the same way.
Okay.
When I went to that one in Tennessee, and I went to an EA degree, the work itself is almost night and day from each other, but you get the same thing from it. In the end, our obligations are very close. Our charges that we take are very close. And like I told you, they let me give the Alabama charge, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
um, so moving on to the next one that was in there is the religious. Um, a lot of people think we are satanic or we are a cult or uh, I don't know, sacrificing kids or whatever all that stuff they think. And um, I would say between me and you, we have been very open about our faith on this show and in public. Um, I, there's no other way to put it. I mean, we're both Christians. We
Christians.
are born again Christians.
Absolutely.
And that, I just wanted to bring up a few points that
But when we walk in the lodge with a Jewish person or a Muslim, we're brothers.
we are, and we respect him. We're not gonna, yeah, as a Christian, we should be preaching the gospel and spreading the gospel. But at the same time, if that's not what he wants to believe, that's his choice, and I'm not gonna down him for that.
Right. And in some lodges you go to, like our lodge, I mean, we're pretty much probably 100% Christian, if I had to say. So
Right.
we know we can, talk a little bit more about stuff like that in lodge, which we don't do a whole lot of that. But, you know, I'm not saying that we wouldn't want to suppress that to offend a
if it
brother.
happens, we're going to let it happen.
Right.
But at the same time, if he doesn't want to listen, I mean, if he walks out, I'm not going to
Yeah,
hate him
I
for
know
it.
that they've had some issues in other lodges in the past with people they you know believe in God per se, but not necessarily Jesus.
Right,
Okay,
right. The
uh,
Trinity
the
type thing.
Trinity.
Yeah.
They might have a belief in a monotheistic God, but not in
Hmm.
the Trinity.
Well, and that's what
And
Judaism. They just don't believe that Jesus is the Savior. They're still waiting on the Savior, from what I
right,
understand.
right. That's right. That's what the Jews are still looking
And
at.
that's
They're still
going
looking.
back to it. That is our one of our requirements to get into lodge. Is you have to believe in a single God.
And I'm going to be unable to. I'm going to be unable to say it like Joel said, but he said it was as masonry gets you to the altar in front of the Bible to say that obligation, and
Hmm.
then how whether or not you use that Bible, you're charged to use it
Right.
as a rule and guide, but whether or not you do that,
It's
that
on you.
that's on you.
Yeah, I agree
And
with that. Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing here. I don't know exactly how he said it very eloquently, but it rang a bell to me, that I was like, yeah, yeah. And since I took my obligation, I can tell you 100% that I have been in my Bible, I
All
mean,
right.
I can't get enough of it,
See, it sparks me when I read something in the Bible and I'm like, I can relate that to masonry. That
and it's
just
full of it.
it is, yeah.
It is full of
And
it. But Masonry is not a religion, right?
right, it is religious
Even
in a
though
way
we're,
that
even
we are
though
not coming there as a religion.
Yeah,
We have
even though
the
we have to have
we
a
stem
belief
off
in a
of religion.
monotheistic
Yeah.
God as Masons, meaning we can't come in. I can't say I'm a Buddhist, right? In Alabama,
And I'm gonna go ahead and admit I'm pretty ignorant on a lot of religions. I don't know a lot about other religions. I know with it's either Muslim or I think it's Muslim. You can be a Muslim and be a Mason.
oh yeah, they believe in all.
It's yeah, they
That's
have
one
their
God.
one single God. And you
What
know,
about the Hindus? I mean, they believe in so many gods. Can
see,
you be
I
a
don't
Hindu? I
that's
don't.
what like I said, I'm
That's not
ignorant to a lot of
monotheistic.
religions. I don't know.
So that being said,
You can't be a pagan necessarily.
and you can't. I don't think you can. You wouldn't. And we're getting back to the point. A lot of people say we're Satanists or we're involved in the black arts or
Right.
whatever. And was it at the where was it that Terry Wester? He was kind of he was kind of mad a little bit. He's like, I'm tired of people out there saying, that we worship the devil, that
It
we're
was at the recording of the movie that he's
at the
doing.
recording of the
Yeah,
movie.
which we'll have to mention
We're
that too.
tired of people saying this because whenever I went through the entered apprentice initiation, I didn't know what was going to happen.
All
And the
right.
next thing I'm hearing Bible verses,
Hmm.
and I'm like, what?
Didn't
So
expect
didn't expect
that.
that, right?
Yeah. And that was one of the things that I led into. The next one is, we say it on our podcast. We use it all the time. Psalm 133. Behold, how good and how
Oh,
pleasant it is for
we're
brethren to
better
dwell
dwell
together
together
in
in
unity.
unity, like the
Um,
precious ointment upon the head.
ran down upon the beard, even
Even
Aaron's
Aaron's
beard.
beard that went down to the skirts of the tongue.
And that's we've talked about it with several folks. I think off the show. I don't think we've mentioned it on the show much, but most of what we do comes from the Bible.
Right.
I mean, everything is Solomon's temple. Solomon is a huge character in
And
the Bible. I say
I've
character
often
person.
wondered how that translate to a Muslim. So I guess they're using a different holy book in their initiation because we've never
I
seen
mean,
it in our lives. I would have to.
and it's not just biblical about Solomon's temple. That's a historical thing. That's
Right.
so I don't know.
And
That'd be a good question to
I know that the
ask.
Jews and the Muslims, the first five books of the Bible are real similar. The
Mhm.
Torah and stuff are very similar, but the building of the temple, that's over there in Kings, and
Right.
we're getting on deeper into the Old Testament. So I wonder how that translates for a Muslim coming into
We
life.
might have to find a Muslim and do especially a Muslim Mason. That would be awesome because you know, and I'm getting off on the subject a little bit. We're getting off of what we were talking about some, but I did buy some new equipment. We can actually use this. I've got to get one more piece, but we can actually make phone calls from this and record it to the computer.
That's awesome.
So
High tech redneck.
that might be a possibility coming in the future. Just see what happens. I know and I've heard that there's a big Muslim community in Birmingham, so
There is. It's
there
right over there by Homewood.
maybe
Yeah,
we could find
it's
a lodge there.
right at the
That,
foot of Red Mountain.
and I know some other brothers that maybe are in that deism, maybe I think is what they call it, but um, I don't know. That might be something we need to do some research on. Um, and you know, and with the notes I've got, we openly pray in lodge. We pray before the meeting, after the meeting, before we eat, all that kind of stuff. And from what when the chaplain goes and prays, he's not praying to you know Allah or um, any of the other names of God. He's praying to who his God is. That's what, and I
Right.
learned that from Brother Dennis. He actually asked me the question, who when the chaplain goes to pray, who does he pray to? The answer is to his God. So, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Hmm.
But that is a good something to put in here to validate the point, to
And it
make the
seems like
point.
politically and religious in this world, we're split so much, that what am I trying to say here? I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I lost my train of thought.
The-
But we're split, it's
mhm.
you've got to be this way or that way. And, you know, we have to be able to come together as human beings,
Right,
as mankind,
right.
and friendship, morality, and brotherly love.
Spread that cement.
Now, yeah, spread the cement of brotherly love. And how are we going to do that? Obviously, with religion, we end up in it seems like we end up in so many wars over through the course of
Yeah,
history and stuff. This nation fighting that nation,
and a
and
lot of that is over
over
religion.
religion,
Yeah,
and if we could put all that aside and come together and say that, morally, uh, friendship wise,
right.
okay, brotherly, we're gonna maybe just agree to disagree sometimes, but we can still get along as brothers.
I would love to see that happen.
I
But
don't know.
we say that would probably, in our religion at least, that would probably be the next coming of Jesus.
That's
I mean,
absolutely.
that's
It
exactly
would
what
be.
would happen if everything went
Even
so
so come.
perfect. I'd be looking up, going, "Where you at? Come on."
So can we go back? And I know, can we go back to, you were talking earlier on in the thing about some of the symbolism in the nation, and, the people saying that we're involved in the cult, the
Yeah.
floating eye on the dollar bill,
Hmm.
the
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 all-seeing eye,
all-seeing eye
all-seeing of
providence
God. I was gonna say of God, but yeah,
of God. And, I've seen some of this where they sensationalize things, where they, a lot of these rock stars and divas and different people, they cover
that's
one eye
yeah.
up and all this
That's
stuff. And
actually getting into the next part of it is the
okay,
cultural part. But
okay,
go ahead with what you were
no,
saying.
no, no, okay, but and I've watched some of these episodes, not episodes, but I've watched some of these shows on YouTube and stuff, because I'm like you.
Inside the
Yeah, oh
Masons.
yeah, Inside the Masons, man. It's the 33rd degree. That one, it's awesome,
That,
and
yep.
and I love that stuff, and I love watching the historical stuff about how, the streets of Washington were designed with some of the symbols in there, and all that. Uh, but you can't deny they put this in there. But I also saw a show that said that Franklin and them were basically pulling from stock photos whenever they picked all those symbols up. And so even though those symbols today might look like a bunch of hoodoo voodoo and
Right.
mysterious stuff to them, to us, back then, to them, they were just, cool symbols.
Yeah. And yeah, that's something I've thought a lot about. Times were way different back then.
Right.
I mean, there's no telling what, nowadays it's the iPhone and the podcasts and YouTube and
The
TikTok and all
iPhone, the
that.
iPhone. We didn't thought, no,
Oh,
that's that floating out.
Well, that's kind of
How
got me
about
scared
that?
now.
Right. So,
But that's, back then, there's no telling what was cool. It's cool who had the coolest spear, the coolest rifle, or who
or we,
who ate the most. And a lot of times, yeah, the coolest wig.
who
Yeah,
had the coolest
gotta have
way?
it powdered. I actually heard one time too, and this is nothing Masonic at all, but the bald eagle, the symbol of our country. When they first were looking at having a quote unquote mascot, you know what it was going to be?
The turkey,
Turkey vulture.
the turkey vulture. That's right.
Creepy looking thing.
Yeah. Hey,
And I just thought that was cool. That just popped
that's
in my
the
head.
largest wingspan of any bird in North America, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Is that right?
I don't know. I don't
There's
know.
a
I don't know jack about
we, we
birds.
have condors in America. No,
No
I
clue.
think I think it's a turkey vulture.
It may be. I know they were big. They were big birds. That's all. I've seen pictures and or paintings rather, but I don't.
We didn't want a bird that eats carrion representing
Yeah,
our country, so I think they went in the right direction.
we want the one where 2000 or 2000 300 years into the future people start going America. But back on what you were saying about the stars, quote unquote, again. Um, there are a lot of famous people that are Masons. I mean, I know Brad Paisley's a Mason in the state of Tennessee. He's a Shriner. I don't know what all he's in. Never met the guy, but he's my brother. I'm gonna
It'd
treat
be
him as
cool to sit in
such. But
lodge with him, right?
oh, I'd love to. That'd be cool.
I never knew
That's
Brad
what we
Paisley
need.
was a Mason.
Yeah, we need to start going to the lodge up in Nashville. So
Might
that'd be
catch him in
fun.
there,
Yeah,
get an autograph.
yeah. And that's what I was gonna say. Just because they're famous, yeah, you might get a little starstruck, but at the same time, you sit down and you breathe it in and you realize it and you go, okay, well, we're sitting in lodge together. This guy's just like me. He just
He took the
makes
same obligation I did,
exactly, yeah. He just makes 10,000 times what I make in like 5 years.
maybe 100,000
Yeah,
times.
but and I'd be the same way. I'd walk in, I'd shake his hand just like we're supposed to do, and I'd say, "Hey, brother, after lodge, can I get an autograph or something? Maybe get a picture with you, something that'd be cool."
And I bet he's so tired of
Especially,
that kind of stuff.
well, I could see that. I would bet he's not a traveling man, not
Right.
not lodge wise, but it would be cool, just show up at some random lodge somewhere where he's putting on a show, and oh, Brad Paisley's joining us tonight for lodge.
And I forgot what his name is, but there's a minister, and he's it's one of these up and coming new churches. There's a lot of social media and stuff like that, kind of like Church of the Highlands. And I cannot recall his name, but I think he's a Mason. And I need to do some Google searching here, and I
Yeah,
could tell you his name, but I saw that where he was a Mason, and I was like, is he a Mason? And then I went back and I watched some videos, and I saw a ring on his finger, and I was like, I bet he is a Mason.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes you have to look close at stuff like that. I know a lot of times that I'll see a ring on their finger and you kind of zoom in and it doesn't really look like a Masonic ring, but some of them,
And
of
it could
course,
be their father's ring or
yeah,
their grandfather's ring. They just wear it in their memory.
yeah. But that's, just because people are famous and all that, it gets into all that Illuminati stuff. They've got all these people saying, "Oh, well, they're in the Masons; they must be Illuminati and everything." And I should have done more research on the Illuminati and actually brought some facts because I
Illuminatus.
know the Illuminati was a real thing. Um, and I don't even know where it came from. I want to say maybe Italian or something. One of
I think
those,
so.
there's some European country, but they it was similar in they had their secrets. Um, they used the word enlightenment, but I think it was more of a scientific
And,
community.
and there were a lot of these clubs. I mean, there was, the Odd Fellows.
Right.
I mean, there were all kinds of clubs over in England, especially.
Yeah.
I saw where J.R.R. Tolkien. I don't think that he was a Mason or anything, but he was involved in the club too. And but it was a bunch of men from academia,
Yeah.
that were coming together,
Well,
and they had their own little
I know, like
club.
at Harvard, you've got the Skull and Bones
Right.
and stuff like that, and that's what and I think we've mentioned it before, but I think it's just people are scared of what they can't see.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think
Yes.
they see us go behind closed doors and they think, oh, they're plotting to take over the world in there. Or they're, um, I don't know, sacrificing goats or whatever, and that just it does put a bad image on us. But sometimes you just have to let it go.
So every
But
Grand Lodge has a Grand Master, right?
mhm,
Okay.
I assume so.
Our past Grand Master, Brother Rusty Beck,
Mhm.
and 50 other over the United States are coming together to run this government. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I've always made the joke, how are we going to take over the world when we can't even decide what we're going to eat on Thursday nights?
Right,
I
chicken
mean,
fingers or pizza
yeah.
now. Come on.
But it's true. I mean, most Masons now, at least around here, are getting up in age. They're quote unquote elderly. I'm using that word loosely, but um,
That's me.
not quite.
Not quite. God.
We're still in the younger part of the group. Feel like we're
And it's
still in
good
the
to see some
learning.
new guys coming, some
It
young guys
really
coming in
is.
here lately.
We've had several of the young guys coming back too. I like to see that. We've had some older guys coming back too, um, and it's great to see that. And we haven't even started the shepherding stuff yet. I can't wait to do that. But
I think Brother Paul's been kind of doing a little bit of that by reaching out,
it could be. But
So
Brother Paul's our secretary at Ben Jacobs, and he's done a wonderful job. I don't know how he does it.
yeah,
I know he
it's a
spends a
breath of
lot of
fresh
time
air coming
on
in,
it.
taking
He
over things
really
like he
is.
has.
Which he will probably get my vote again this year, I'm sure. He's
Perpetual secretary.
Yeah, there you go. I would even say I'll pay his dues for him every year if he'll keep it. But he really has. He's done a great job. And it has been nice seeing a lot of those guys come back. There's been a few that have come back and they've already kind of faded out again. Just I guess didn't get in the habit of coming back, but still nice seeing them. But I definitely, and it's nice having people that are willing to come in and actually do the work with us.
And getting back on the topic
Yeah, we
of
keep
all
straying
this,
off of
yeah,
it.
getting back on the topic of what we were talking about is I think, and it's coming to us, and we said every little point that you have, whether it's faith, religion, whether it's politics, whether it's cultural. So we've got things coming at us as Masons from all different angles. Okay,
Right.
all different angles. Uh, and the reality of it is that we're just a bunch of men coming together as a fraternity, as
Hmm.
brothers.
Just having
No,
fun together.
nobody's trying to kick the doors down of the Delta Chi or
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and all the stuff that goes on in those organizations. But you let us throw a square and a compass out there and put an eyeball in the middle or a G or something, and people just lose their
And
minds.
and I think a lot of it goes back to being that it's worldwide and that it is an old, very.
Novus. What was it say on the dollar? Novus, the on the New World Order.
I know what you're talking about. It's
And,
around the
and, and
eagle
you
and the
can and you can and
scroll.
you can take all those things and make the 5-pointed star and it spells
Yeah.
Mason and there's 13 steps on the
Yeah.
pyramid
Now, a
with
lot of stuff, we do have a lot of stuff that would match up with that, I'm sure. I mean,
so it's there,
but yeah, but
but
whether
it
it's in,
doesn't mean there's
whether
this.
it's intentional or not, I don't know.
I think some of it may have been, but it's there. But like I said, the times that this was done in, I think people had a different perspective on things.
Yeah.
And nowadays, everybody's looking for the next UFO,
Hmm.
the next
Person that can
alien,
sue.
the next politician to mess up, the
Yeah.
next sensational issue that they can jump on the bandwagon and kick.
Everything's in the spotlight now.
Yeah,
They
like
want to be in the spotlight.
the thing that happened in Texas, where one of our brothers was gunned down by the anti-Mason.
Hmm.
This type of negativity, and like Brother Terry Western was saying, it makes me mad.
Yeah,
That
it
this type of
does.
negativity can um, even influence our safety
Right.
as
Our
a man,
lives.
our
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm the Tyler at our
yeah.
lodge, and I take that station seriously.
Right.
We need to watch. The doors need to be watched. People are going up in churches nowadays, organizations doing all kind of god awful things, and there's nothing to say that it can't happen at a lodge because
Right.
of what's put out on media, the
Hmm.
negativity, the classifying us as being involved in sorcery or being involved with
Right.
black arts or Satanism, which nothing is farther from the truth than that. You know what your obligation was.
Right.
You know, I know what my obligation was.
Hmm.
I know you to be an honest guy. You know me to be an honest guy. And nothing could be farther from the truth, but it's just a lot of negativity, a lot of hoopla that's put out there, and people feed off of this kind of stuff.
Right.
I've seen people lock in on my rings.
Hmm.
You know, and if I have a Mason shirt on, they lock in on that
Square and
square
compass.
compass,
Yeah.
and and I've had people check me on it. Hey man, you're worshiping the
All
devil. I'm like,
right.
no, you're wrong.
Yes.
We're not worshiping the devil.
And Brother Shane, the guy from Georgia, made a very good point the other day. He said, if that was what was going on, I wouldn't be in it.
No, I
I
would
go
have
to the
walked
bar.
out. I would have walked out. I would have never taken the obligation.
Right. Exactly. I would have turned right around. And granted, most people that are listening to this are probably just going to have to take us on our word on that. They may not know us, but we are born again Christian men that want to do good in the world. And
Read the
I think,
Bible daily, pray
yeah,
daily,
I mean, and I think that's
go to
what
church every
most of
week,
our
love the
fraternity
Lord.
is. It's people that want to do better in their life and
But
in the
that's
lives
our
of
religious
others.
view, right? That what when we say when we say this is our religious view as Christianity,
Right.
and another brother may have a Jewish background or he may be a Muslim, but they're still our brothers.
Right.
They're still our
And
brother
and
Masons.
and in the lodge idea of it, I think we have the same mindset. I think they're going to come in and they're going to want to do better. That, like I said, they're wanting to do better not only in their lives but the lives of everybody around them. They want to brighten everybody's lives, just make the world itself a better place. I mean, that's what I feel like we as Masons should be trying to do is make the world a better place, even if it's just for one person.
Faith, hope, and love are the three things.
And
Or
the
the greatest
greatest is
thing
love.
is charity.
Yep.
It's love and charity.
And I was listening to Brother Dennis give the EA lecture last night, and that really sticks out. Excuse me. Charity is the one thing that is going to extend beyond the grave. If you give into charity,
It extends beyond politics too,
yeah, yeah.
beyond culture. It
Mhm.
extends beyond all these things we talked about: religion, charity.
And when we say charity, we're not just like I've said before. Charity and love
Not
are
just giving money,
interchangeable. Charity and love are interchangeable. You could be given give somebody a ride or even just
some food,
being there and
clothing,
sitting with them, being there and just being there for
friendship,
somebody.
an
Yeah,
ear,
friendship.
just
Yeah,
an ear, just to listen.
exactly. It's not all about money. Um, and like I said, that goes back to we're not making anything out of masonry, mon, uh, monetarily.
Monetary,
Yeah.
yeah, you almost did. That's okay. I know where you're going.
We get no money out of masonry, not for ourselves, um, but we do get that treasure we've talked about before, and that's just the to me
The
it's the
brotherhood.
the brotherhood, the fellowship, but also the feeling of knowing that somebody else can benefit off what you're doing, even if it's just
Absolutely.
something small. You may never meet them. It's still somebody's going to benefit, and I like that.
I do too. And
Um,
that's one of the reasons that I got into masonry. I do like all the mysterious stuff too.
I do
I'm
too.
an old Dungeons and Dragon player,
Yeah.
or maybe and hey, growing up playing Dungeons and Dragons,
Mm,
the same thing was said. I remember when I was playing that game as a teenager, you were involved in sorcery, you're involved in devil, you're in all this stuff, and it's like, no, it's just a bunch of teenagers getting together,
yeah,
rolling
we're
dice,
playing a
and
board game.
playing a board
Yeah.
game.
And I've always I never did play that one. I was more of a Pokemon kind of
Oh yeah.
guy.
Well, that was more of a late '70s, early
Yeah,
'80s thing.
I've
It's
seen
all
it.
right.
I,
People are still
I,
still good players in
yeah,
that, and I I loved it for many years, but the same negativity was said,
Yeah.
about that. The same negativity was said about rock and roll music. The
You
same
know,
negativity was said about the new country.
it
And
just
it's,
hit me too. Talking about all this, it just made me realize, we're kind of the witches. We're like the witches, the women that were quote unquote witches back in the old days and the witch trials and all that.
yeah, they just
All
get
they
like,
had to do was tie a block to you and throw you in the water. If you sank,
if you
you're a witch.
sank,
You weren't a
you
witch, but if you
weren't,
floated up, you were, and you got hung.
yeah. And then they hung, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's
You just didn't have
I don't,
many options at that point, right?
exactly, and I don't want to say
In other words, you just didn't want anybody pointing their finger and
right.
saying, which,
Yeah, you just keep to yourself. And that's what, I don't want to say we're in a lose-lose situation because that's exactly what that was a lose-lose situation.
but we're not.
I don't think we are. I
No,
think
no.
if we can show through social media, um, through uh, Hollywood, through um, any avenue we can, we are basically we're trying to prove our point that we're not all these things that we've mentioned.
And if you go back and look at a lot of the movies that have Masonic stuff, it really doesn't necessarily point the Masons in a bad light.
It's more of a historical
Yeah,
thing,
it doesn't necessarily point the Masons into a bad corner or anything. It's just that's where people go with it.
right?
I
And
guess
it's just the secrecy of it. I'm
just the
sure
secrecy.
that's got to be, and that's what pulled my phone out looking. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up real quick. We're kind of getting low on time.
Oh
The
yeah, we were reprimanded.
uh,
We finally got some comments,
yeah,
and we know that we ran over last
it
episode.
was well over an hour.
We had a lot of fun doing it.
We did, and it
And
had been a while,
I
so we
went
had
back
a
and
lot to
listened
get
to
through.
it. There were a lot of and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of in this. But and
Yeah.
I apologize. I just said one. I apologize for that. And Zach
Now we're the
apologizes.
imperfect
Yeah.
apologizers.
Oh, okay. And Brother Joel and reminded me that that was our new thing. Was we are the
Excuses.
imperfect excuse
Yeah,
makers,
there you
but
go.
we're not making any excuses.
So we were talking earlier about the movie that Brother Terry Wester has kind of put together. It's through the Alabama Scottish Rite Foundation. I pulled my phone up. I don't know exactly where it's going to be found. We can figure that out very soon, I'm sure. But um, the name of it is going to be or not the Order Out of Chaos. And I believe that at one time he had added in the story of the Alabama Scottish Rite Foundation.
Well, we got into
But
Scottish Rite just at the right time, didn't we?
yeah,
We got them,
we're going to be famous actors one
got to
day.
participate in that. And it gave me a sense of pride being there,
It really is.
just being there with all the brethren and
Yeah.
seeing everybody come
See,
together
and
as a
and
pretty
that's
large group too.
he's trying to do what we're trying to do is kind of I hate to say convince. It sounds bad, but um, shine a better
Show the
light.
positive light
Exactly, shine that
of
better light.
of masonry instead
Um,
of the negative light that's been cast on us.
right, and that's what that movie is going to do. And like you said, I was honored to be a part of it. I know it was kind of a voluntary thing, but we had a great turnout. And we had a lot of fun doing it. I know it was a lot of repetition. It was all right, get up, do this, do this, do this. All right, sit down now, get up and do it again. But it was a lot of fun, and I would highly suggest that everybody watch it. We haven't got to see it yet, which I can't wait to see it. But we did a prayer scene at the Metro Yorkite Temple in Irondale, and it was it was fun. It was a lot of fun, but it was also kind of humbling a little bit, I guess you could say. Just seeing what Brother Terry is doing and what he's doing for Masonry. Um, and not to mention too, you said something about that 33rd degree being the secret guy that has all the secrets. He is a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason.
He's the one running the government.
Yeah, I guess
Brother Terry Western, all right,
that
tell us the
I
secrets.
guess that's what it is. I guess this whole movie's a
Oh,
cover up.
no, man. Here we go again.
But no, I truly believe it's going to be a good one. And one thing I want to well, it's going to be ironic. I want to close with this, but we're going to talk about funerals.
Okay.
We're going to close out talking about funerals. So, um, I don't know. Have you've been to a Masonic funeral, haven't you?
A few.
Okay. Um, the main things that happen with the Masonic part of it. There's some words that are spoken and everything, and um, but the big thing that happens obviously is the prayers. We have prayers, and we pray to our God. We present a King James Version Bible to the family of the deceased, and then, like any other funeral, of course, we inter the body
And we throw a
into the
sprig of
ground.
acacia in the casket
Yep, and
or in
we
the grave.
we lay them to rest like any good old Christian would do. I mean, or Jew or whatever. I don't know what other.
And even though the verbiage may be different from what a traditional pastor might say up there, I think the message is still the same.
It is.
And if you're a believer, if you're a Christian believer, the message is still the same. But it doesn't matter. Just about every Masonic funeral that I've been at, I always love to look out at the family members and the
Yeah,
people that aren't Masons and see
yeah.
how they're perceiving us
I do
because
too.
they're like, oh, they're checking everything out.
Yeah,
But then they realize, and some of it, some of the verbiage and some of the prayers and stuff, they to some people, especially if you come from some of these churches nowadays where they're into this the church, what I call church light. Okay, not necessarily these hard hitting Bible churches, but this church light that we have, if they heard some of the verbiage that we use in some of the prayers, they would think this comes off as being morbid. But when you listen to it, it's just putting somebody back into the ground,
right,
you know, from where they came from
right.
and sending them off to see their Heavenly Father,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I mean, yeah, 100%. And that's exactly what we do. It, just like anybody else, we're saying our final goodbyes, but we're not. Well, it's goodbye, but it's more of an "I'll see you later" kind of
And
thing.
I got to be the chaplain at a man who was dear to me, Brother Luther Dennis. He was one of the people that vouched for me to get into masonry, and he passed away a couple of years ago, and I was able to be the chaplain at his funeral, and that just meant a lot to me.
Oh yeah.
And that was the first one that I attended, and I immediately went to our secretary and said, "When I die, I want a Masonic funeral."
Oh yeah. No question. It's beautiful. It's
It is
beautiful
so
work,
beautiful.
and it's touching. It is very. If you don't normally cry at funerals, you
Hmm.
probably cry at a Masonic
Oh, that's
funeral.
right.
But anyway, we're coming up on about 45 minutes, and the
We don't want
camera
to be
didn't
late,
shut off.
Amanda.
So
Yeah, we do not want.
that
Yeah,
I
we
think
got.
that was our cue. I don't know if you could hear the beeping
I
on
heard
this
it.
or
I saw
not,
it. I
but
started shutting down.
I think that was our cue to start shutting down.
It's
So
been wonderful to be here
it
again.
has, it has.
We missed it.
We need to, and I think I put it in the description on the last episode because I just now today put it on YouTube. But we are trying to get a little bit more regular schedule. It's hard for us to get together sometimes, just the way things line up, between children coming over and being sick again. It's that time of year again with the pollen and all that
Don't say it.
crap.
Don't say it.
But we love doing this, and we love the feedback. I don't know how many people have come in and said, when are you gonna do another episode? And
I
when
heard it today.
really,
Hmm.
I think the last time I heard it was Thursday at Lodge. Um, but we love doing this, and like we've said before, we want folks to interact.
And
And
we hope that our listeners enjoy it as much as we
yeah,
enjoy doing it.
amen. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we do this
Whatever
because
you
we
want to
love
change, do it.
masonry.
Shoot
Yeah,
us a email,
if you're curious,
complaints.
or
We'll take complaints. We'll take praise. You know,
yeah, we'll take questions. We'll take dinner too
yeah,
if
dinner.
you want to buy us dinner one day.
But I
Um,
think I think for we need to get somebody in here on our
yeah,
next
and
episode.
and if everything works out, so this new thing I bought, I can do 4 mics on this. So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start coming up with some ideas about somebody we can bring in. We'll get a couple of mics and see if we can't start doing some interviews. And
I definitely want to get our future in here, the Demolay and Rainbow,
hmm
Demolay boys and Rainbow girls. I want to do that, And I,
And I talked to Brother Tony Horton
on
about doing the Observant
on the
Lodge.
observant lodge, and
Uh,
then we need something on the pendant bodies.
yes, I agree, and I think that that's going to probably be what our next venture is going to be is trying to get some of these started. But like we said, I mean, if there's something that anybody wants to know about that you want to hear about, any questions you have,
A
we'd be
topic,
happy
yeah,
to we'd be happy to answer them or set up a whole episode about it if we have enough
absolutely.
information. But next time I'll try to do a little bit more research on some of my topics. That was all done
We're
in
on a
about
wing and a
12
prayer
hours at
today.
work. Yeah,
That's okay.
but
It's been
and
fun.
like I said, hopefully we can get this camera thing worked out and actually start
I'm over here hiding
making it.
behind my mic, so
Well, it cut off earlier, so like I said, I think that was our cue to cut it. So
all right.
I believe we're gonna leave it there, and until next time, we are the
We
imperfect
are the
bachelors.
perfect bachelors.